I'm Kristen from Third Piece. I'm here with Alex
Hi.
and Jenna from Partnership to End Addiction.
Hi
Thanks.
guys, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We're excited to be here today. This is the first time that we've been able to really dive in a little bit deeper and share the stories of the Third Piece Gives Back program that we rolled out a few months ago, and to share a little bit more about our upcoming event. So on March 19th, we have our next Gives Back event. It's going to be working with Partnership to End Addiction, which Jenna works at currently. And I'm going to kick it over to her in just a minute, but to kind of shed a little bit more background on what the Third Piece Gives Back program is we once a month, we select a charity, a nonprofit that is either something that is raised by our community, a member of our team. We're always kind of looking to connect and learn more about the amazing work that so many nonprofit and charities are doing all the time, many of which we've never known about. So that's the beauty of this, and help to shed a little bit more light about the work that they're doing and hopefully raise a little bit of money too in the process. So with that, I just want to kick things off because Jenna is a longtime customer. She has been somebody that we've connected with on and off throughout the years. Our lives have kind of taken us to different points where we have bumped into each other. So I'm just really excited to have her here because she's been a follower of the brand for so long. And she had reached out when we had done our first announcement with the Gives Back program. So just to kick things off, Jenna, I would love to just hear a little bit more about how you started knitting and what your knitting journey has been.
Absolutely, yeah. So I have been knitting, or at least been around knitting my entire life. It was a big thing in my family. My mom was a big knitter. I even wore like little knitted clothes when I was growing up. When I was like 3 and 4, I had this little peach knitted skirt set, which was super cute. And it was something that my mom incorporated into her life to have something to do outside of raising kids and outside of working. And it was a huge stress reliever for her and also a way to connect with people. She used to go to a knitting group filled with like I think of them as like the old lady knitting group, but they were probably her age. And I remember she would just come back like so proud of herself from what she did and just elated from being able to connect with people in the woman who hosted its living room. So I've always, and then from that, my mom taught a knitting class at my elementary school. It was like a before school program where they encourage parents to have little clubs. So I think that was like third grade or something like that. And she taught like a bunch of little girls to knit, and we all felt so good about it. All of our Beanie Babies had little outfits and everything. And from there, I've kind of like put it down and picked it up my whole entire life. When I like want to feel creative, when I want to do something with my hands, and when I want to kind of like channel energy into making something creative.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, and to kind of like circle it back to how we've connected over the years, I think in my adult, like early adult life, when I found the Third Piece, I was like, oh, this is a great time to start knitting again. And throughout your company's history, you guys have inspired me to like get back into it. And during the pandemic, I remember you reaching out saying, hey, why don't you try one of our knit kits for a headband? And that like kind of put me on a spiral of like a huge knitting kick for months. And I made scarves, I made headbands like this one. And it was just like such a great touch point for me. Those are definitely like my happy early pandemic memories when I picked up
Oh,
knitting again.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
amazing
it
to
is. So
hear.
when the pandemic happened, and in the midst of the summer, some of the social unrest that was going on as a small business, we were definitely kind of grappling with how do we find ways to give back? How can we find ways to do small part in either do some fundraising initiatives, bring more awareness. We were all kind of like sitting there trying to think about there's more to just running a business and operating and trying to sell products and provide services. So that's when we came together and we started thinking of charity-based initiatives like the Learn to Knit Night, where we can kind of do all of those things in a very interesting experience, like you just shared, how we're looking to bring people together, we're looking to connect virtually, have people stay connected through these new mediums, since we can no longer do what we were doing in the store. And you had brought up the nonprofit that you were working with and had shared a little bit about Partnership to End Addiction and your mission and the work that you and your team and the organization has been doing over the years, and even just how you've been adapted, like as a nonprofit and a company, how they've had to adapt in the pandemic. I'd love to share a little bit more about what Partnership to End Addiction has been doing over the past couple months, and then how knitting could be a benefit to your community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, just off the top, Partnership to End Addiction, what we do is we transform how our nation addresses addiction by empowering families, advancing effective care, shaping public policy, and challenging culture. And we focus on families because we find through the research that families have the biggest impact on a person's recovery success, because parents and caregivers are they're their child's best advocate, and also they're with the child all the time, so they're the caregiver. So what we do is we involve families and we offer family services, and that includes a helpline, parent coaches, um, lots and lots of different resources, including online and e-learning resources and communities as well. So as I was mentioning, we have like a multitude of family services and parent coaches, online support. One thing that was very a good position for us to be in is we were already digital, so we were ready when the pandemic hit, because all of our resources are free, digitally accessible, and accessible in a multitude of different ways. So families can call us, families can text us, they can email, use Facebook Messenger, and we offer bilingual services too, so in English and Spanish, so we can reach that many more families. And that was especially important because when the pandemic hit, so many treatment centers and so many different clinical centers closed down or reduce their operations, and families really didn't know where to turn. One thing the Partner to End Addiction is good at is they're there for families. We're the place where families can find answers.
And it's national too, right? You're a
Yeah.
national organization, and you have, the one thing I was learning more about is just the call set, like the call aspect to it, because I
Hmm.
think um, for those
Our
that,
helpline.
yeah, the helpline. I mean, I think that's like the one thing that people often will turn to the internet or think about where to start if you're a family member, or you're kind of sitting there trying to figure out like where do you go? Like, what are resources that are out there to figure out how to get the help that you need?
Yeah, and families can find all of that information on drugfree.org. And as I mentioned, we have so many different resources. There's talk kits on how to talk to your kids about different kinds of substances. There's a prevention talk kit about how to talk to kids early on about preventing. Because one thing that's really interesting to know is that 9 in 10 people with substance use disorder report using a substance before the age of 21. So the research finds that if you can prevent it early and educate kids on healthy choices, then they have a better the work that we do, because we do want to transform how the nation addresses addiction. And we take a multi-pronged approach as well, where not only are we offering really impactful family services, but we advance effective care, as I mentioned, and we also work on policy too. And we've convened a network of advocates so that we can raise the voices of families around the nation, so that they can really share their experience and advocate for their loved ones. And those stories make a huge difference in how we treat addiction and dispelling the stigma, as you mentioned too.
So then, what was it about your experience as a knitter or your experience with third piece that made you kind of go, oh, this is an obvious relationship, or this is an obvious bridge I need to build?
Yeah. I mean, just in my own experience with the knit kit and spending time with you guys throughout the pandemic, I felt so much better. channeling my energy into something, making something beautiful. So I thought there's all these like wonderful families at home, maybe they would enjoy doing the exact same thing and get a benefit out of that, and be able to make something beautiful as well. And you guys are so caring, so thoughtful, so aware. So I think that is like one of the biggest reasons why I thought it would be a really good partnership, because you take the same kind of care and help and consideration that we take too. Absolutely. So yes, I
Thank you. That's
recommend everyone to take a look at our website, drugfree.org. And there you'll find just a huge amount of resources, to talk to really any person in your life, especially kids, about this issue, and learning how to be a better advocate, learning how to talk to people about it. I think that's so important. And of course, the importance of dispelling the stigma. You can donate to us. You can visit our memorials page and create a memorial for someone that you've loved and lost. Um, Really, there's a huge amount of ways. You can advocate for us. We have a bunch of different resources around policy and advocacy that your knitters might be interested in.
What would you say are the challenges? Because I feel like that's an area that like you never really hear about in terms of policy. Like it's such a societal problem, but where are things at in terms of some of the work? Is there anything you can share, or anything that you think would be interesting to learn more about?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to know about that is, as I mentioned before, parents are the best advocates. And one of the things, especially around dispelling stigma and encouraging people to raise their voices and talk more about what they've experienced in navigating addiction at home with their families, that has been crucial, for the people on Capitol Hill, policymakers, to hear those stories. Yeah, just to like illuminate who is using our services. People can go on the website and read stories about parents who have gone through this before, so you can relate to them, you can learn from them, and connect with them too.
Thank you. And I just, again, I can't reiterate how important I think storytelling is to solving problems like this.
Yeah.
I think that's where change happens. And thank you for joining us to tell your story about knitting. And
Yes, thank you.
yeah, it brings me joy to know that knitting has been a part of your pandemic experience like so many others.
Yeah, oh my, well, I can't thank you guys enough. Kristen, you got me into it. Alex, you helped me create these beautiful pieces, so thank you.
Thank you, Jenna. It's been so nice chatting with you. We are so excited. We're looking forward to March 19th, right? It's the 19th?
March 19th.
March 19th, 6 p.m. Charity Learn to Knit to Benefit Partnership to End Addiction. Uh, Jenna, thank you again. It was so nice having you and learning more, and we're excited to help share the work that you and your team are doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.